Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about something you hear all the time, data. But what does that word really mean? We're going to follow the incredible journey of how a simple, raw fact can transform into a powerful, game-changing insight.
Okay, let's just start with this. 5,000,001, what does that even mean? Is it how much someone earns? The price of a new gadget? Maybe a contest prize? Right now, on its own, it's a total mystery. It's just a number floating in space with zero context.
So to solve this little mystery, we've got to go back to square one and ask a really basic question. What exactly is data? At its absolute heart, data is just a given thing. The word itself actually comes from the Latin datum. The best way to think about it is like raw material. It's the lumber before it's a chair or the flour before it's a loaf of bread. It just is, but it hasn't been shaped into anything useful yet. You see, a single piece of data, like our mysterious 5,000,001, isn't just a number. To have any shot at being useful, it's actually made up of a few key parts. So let's dissect it. Okay, so for any piece of data to actually make sense, you need all 5 of these things working together. First, you've got the value itself, the 5 million. Then there's the object it's describing, let's say a certain product. Next up is the attribute. What are we measuring? Let's call it sales revenue. You also need the unit of measure, which is won. And finally, the most important part, the context. When and where did this happen? Say, the Soul Store in October 2025. You see, without all 5, it's just noise. With them, a clear fact starts to take shape.
All right, so we know what data is made of. Now let's talk about how we sort it. Because, trust me, not all data is the same, and knowing how to classify it is the first real step to putting it to work.
First off, we can group data by how we get our hands on it. You've got primary data, which is stuff you collect yourself for a very specific reason, like when you run a survey. It's super relevant, for sure, but man, it can be expensive and take forever. And then there's secondary data, which is data that's already out there. Think public statistics or your own company's sales records. This is way easier to get, and it's what most real-world work relies on. The big thing to remember is you have to know where your data came from to know if you can trust it. Data also shows up in different outfits. On one side, you have your neat and tidy, structured data. This is the stuff that fits perfectly into the rows and columns of a spreadsheet. But then, you have the Wild West, unstructured data. We're talking images, videos, tweets, emails. It's messy, it's chaotic, but it's where so many of today's biggest discoveries are hiding. And kind of sitting in the middle is semi-structured data, which has a little bit of organization, but not that super rigid format of a traditional database.
Now, this next part is really important, because how we measure data totally changes what kind of math we can do with it. You start with nominal data, which is just names for things, simple categories. Then you get ordinal, which adds an order to those categories, like a 1 to 5-star rating. Interval data takes it a step further. The spaces between the numbers are equal, like temperature in Celsius. That the real powerhouse is ratio data. This is the only one with a true, meaningful zero. Think about sales or your age. This is the only scale where you can say, this is double that, letting you multiply and divide.
And hey, here's a quick tip to help you remember this. Just think of it like climbing a ladder. Each step up gives you more power, moving from just naming things to doing some really powerful math. All right, let's circle back to that number from the beginning and see this whole transformation happen right before our eyes. This is the path every piece of data has to take to become truly valuable, from being just a lonely fact to becoming powerful wisdom.
So we start with our raw data, but now we've given it all its parts. It's a solid, objective fact. Sales revenue of 5,000,000 won, that's it. It's just a statement of what happened.
Okay, but here's where it starts to get interesting. When we process that data, maybe by comparing it to last month's numbers, it suddenly becomes information. It has meaning now. Sales increased by 20% compared to last month. Now that tells you something. Something changed. But we don't stop there. We take that information, add in some experience, do a little digging, and boom, it becomes knowledge. This is where we finally get to the why. The sales increase was driven by an influx of new customers. See, now we actually understand what caused the change. And at the very peak of this pyramid, that knowledge turns into wisdom. This is the real game changer. This is when we use what we know to make a smart decision about the future. We must develop a strategy to retain these new customers. We're not just looking at the past anymore. We're actively shaping the future.
Okay, but hold on. That whole amazing journey from a simple fact to powerful wisdom, it's completely useless, totally worthless, if the data you started with was garbage. If your foundation is bad, the whole house is coming down.
So, to actually trust our insights, our data has to pass a 5-point inspection. Is it accurate? Does it actually match what happened in the real world? Is it consistent, free of weird contradictions? Is it timely? Is it recent enough to even matter? Is it complete, or are there a bunch of holes in it? And finally, is it valid? Does it follow the rules and format it's supposed to? You've got to have all 5.
Seriously, getting these 5 things right is everything. Think of it as your go-to checklist before you trust any data. If it doesn't pass, you're just building your house on sand. So, what's the big point of all this? It's that data isn't just a bunch of numbers in a spreadsheet anymore. It's a core strategic asset. It's just as valuable as a factory or the money in the bank. And I love this quote because it just nails the entire journey we've been on. Data is an unprocessed fact. Information is processed meaning. It's that simple. Data is the what, and information is the so what.
When you really think about it, data is just a digital record of, well, everything. And for any company or organization today, knowing how to collect it, clean it, and turn it into something useful isn't just a nice skill to have, it's how you win. It's the only way to navigate what's coming next.
So I'll leave you with a question to chew on. What raw, simple facts are just sitting around in your world, totally ignored? Because the next big breakthrough for your company, or even just for you, might be hiding in plain sight, just waiting for someone to ask the right questions.